Hi everyone, in today's tactics video I'm going to check out the Astra Militarum orders from our new codex. As you know, these have greatly evolved from the old codex with a lot more complexity and tactical opportunity. So starting with the basics, there are 3 order sets, being Regimental, aka Infantry orders, Prefectus orders, or Commissar orders, and Mechanized orders, aka Tank orders. Infantry orders are issued obviously by infantry officer keyword units, which include Asala Creed, Acadian Castellan platoon commanders, Acadian commanders, Colonel Ironhand Strachan, and Sergeant Harker, able to order only Catachin Jungle Fighter infantry squads. Prefectus orders are issued by Commissars and Colonel Commissar Gaunt, who can also issue regimental orders. Mechanized orders are issued by tank commanders, and Lord Solar Leonidas can issue anybody any orders he likes, given he is a mega boss man. Now the recipients of these orders are determined by the keyword platoon for regimental and prefectus orders, meaning all infantry squad variants, Sly Marbo, Kazrakin, Rough Riders, Sentinels, Scions, heavy weapons squads and field ordnance batteries can receive them. Our abhuman friends, being Ratlings, Ogrins and Bolgrams, can't receive infantry orders, but can receive prefectus orders. Mechanized orders can be received by squadron keyword units, so all vehicles except the tank commander, Valkyrie and the Baneblade family. A keynote is that the Sentinels can receive both infantry and mechanized orders, and there are several ways to mess around via Warlord traits and tank aces, but we'll cover those later, but that overall is the basis of it. As said, there's a fair bit more there, but once you've played a few games, you'll be confidently barking orders at your toy soldiers. So characters can issue between 1 and 3 orders in the command phase. In the 8th edition book, orders were issued in the shooting phase, meaning you could move your officers into range of orders. With the new book, however, you need to be planning your order ranges in the previous movement phase, given you are issuing them in the command phase. Order ranges are between 6 inches for regimental and prefectus orders and 12 inches for mechanized orders, and an officer is only able to issue an order once, but different officers can issue the same order. The platoon commanders and Acadian commanders in the command squads can have their orders boosted 24 inches by a master vox. However, the receiving unit must have a voxcaster, so that's going to have to be infantry squads or scion squads. An early limitation is that prefectus orders can't be boosted beyond their 6 inches range, and none of the other officers outside of those in the command squad can be boosted either. However, as we will now move on to the core mechanics of the orders, there are some ways to extend these ranges naturally. So something to never forget is the footprint of the receiving unit. If you have, say for example, a 10-man infantry squad with 2 plasma guns at the front of it, and you wanted to get them into rapid fire range of a target, but keep them within order range for the next command phase, you could string out the squad so the last model in the 10-man squad is within order range. Also, the issuing officer doesn't have to be visible to the receiving unit, so clearly able to yell through brick walls and fences. Now perhaps the most important aspect of orders is the splashing of orders beyond the original receiving units. As per the wording in the codex, you can pass on the order to 1 or more units of the same type within 6 inches. This was something we already had in a balanced data slate, and great to see it included in the new book. This of course applies to orders issued from a voxcaster, so you could send out an order 24 inches to a single platoon keyword unit and splash that order 6 inches to other units on the other side of the board. Not that it might come up all that often, but you could have an infantry squad with a voxcaster receive the order and splash it to other platoon keyword units, including heavy weapon squads, sentinels or ordnance batteries. The same applies to mechanized orders, with say a Rogel Dawn tank with its apparent massive footprint, receiving an order and splashing it onto other squadron keyword vehicles. There is important wording in the rules for the voice of command, which opens up massive tactical opportunity, being if a unit has been affected by an order, when it's selected to be affected by another order, the new order immediately replaces the old one. So combine this with the splashing of orders, with the wording being along the lines of you can select 1 or more friendly units to be affected by that order. You could have a unit within say 6 inches of an officer, that unit receives one order that splashes onto another unit within 6 inches, and then receives another order that it splashes onto a different unit, and it itself is affected by that order, given it's the last one it's received. This is a really neat trick, and it's something one of my patrons showed me. And the splashing of orders effectively gives us a 12-inch range minimum on a Regimental and Prefectus orders, and a 24-inch range on Mechanized orders. Being able to dish out differing orders via a close unit will avoid us needing to keep units clustered around characters to benefit from orders. As said earlier, Sentinels have both the platoon and squadron keyword, meaning they will be amazingly versatile for us passing on infantry, commissar and tank orders. A key footnote is that human units can't, however, pass on Prefectus orders like the infantry or mechanized orders. And with the core mechanics reviewed, let's now examine the actual orders themselves. The regimental orders or infantry orders have got 6, with them buffing our shooting, stabbing, movement and survivability. The shooting ones are the classic front rank fire, second rank fire, turning all las guns and hotshot las guns from rapid fire 1 to heavy 3. So 7 troops go from getting 7 las gun shots at long range to 21, and 14 at short range to 21 as well. Important to note that if you move in the previous movement phase, you're hitting on 5, so cutting accuracy. Take aim is great, giving guardsmen a business skill of 3+ and AP1 las guns, but then also all other weapons, so that includes mortar guns, frag grenades, mortars, heavy las cannons and heavy flamers on sentinels, as well, so really boosting a lot of our weapons. Suppression fire is neat, removing the target's weapon score business skill by 1, but will probably be overshadowed by other options. Now fixed bayonets is basically take aim but in the fight phase, but given you'll be putting out a max of 12 strength 3 infantry attacks, it probably won't make much of a difference. Where it will however make a difference is on Rough Riders, who will be ploughing in 11 2+ weapon skill hits at either AP2 for the frag tips or AP5 melted tips, which would be so satisfying. Move would send infantry squad up on a 14-inch move, and as mentioned, Rough Riders as well will get a 20-inch move, setting them up neatly for a next turn charge or be sitting on an objective. Finally, take aim is great to have, giving out either a +1 to saving throws or a -1 to hit if you're already in a light cover. So some pretty tasty stuff in there, with my favourites being take aim and move. Next, let's look at the Prefectus orders. Now these are harder to group together, more situational but very powerful. Forwards with the Emperor allows a unit to move or advance and count as remaining stationary. This could be very helpful, getting an ordnance battery into position and still able to fire that turn. Duty and Honour is also helpful, allowing a unit to advance or fall back, shoot and still perform actions, so situationally very helpful. Get back in the fight allows a unit to fall back and shoot or charge, so it could be great on Ogrims, Bolgrims or Rough Riders. At all costs, grant OBSEC, or counting as an additional model if already OBSEC, and this is really powerful. Imagine our Rough Riders being made OBSEC and charging onto an objective to clear out any OBSEC enemy units. Even if there are 11 strength 8 melter attacks, don't kill off the unit, at least they are OBSEC to contest or win the objective. Also, a key point on timing of this is that scoring of primaries is at the end of the command phase. So given orders occur in the command phase, you could make a unit OBSEC that isn't normally and contest or win the objective. Show them steel, show them contempt is also helpful if you're going into something like Grey Knights or Thousand Suns to be smited to death, at least giving you a 32% chance of shrugging these mortal wounds and an extra pip of leadership for any survivors. Lastly, remain vigilant is also situationally excellent, denying deep strike to outside 12 inches and consequently turning off rapid fire range and also any enemy charges. Given you can set splash orders, you could deny entire areas of the board to your opponent. Just make sure in your deployment phase you're positioning units effectively to make this really work. So of these, some really tasty opportunities, with my favourites being at all costs and remain vigilant. Right now into mechanized orders, the much spoken about pound them to dust can maximise all blast weapons, so everything from battle cannons, frag missiles and sentinels, the Earthshaker cannon on basilisks, and the Manticore Storm Eagle rockets, etc, etc. As you know, the blast keyword affects units with a model count of 6+ with a minimum of 3 shots, and 11 model count units with a minimum of 6 shots. So for the Panthems of Dust to work, you really want to be targeting a unit with 3 models to double to 6, and 6 models to double to 12 for the maximum of 6 shots. This will take a bit of planning, and careful target priority could be very, very powerful. The next shooting one is Gunner's Kill on Sight, granting reroll 1s to hit, so crucial on something, say an Executioner Plasma Cannon. For info, rerolling 1s to hit is inferior to a +1 ballistic skill, improving the odds by 8% versus an improvement of 17% when you get a +1 ballistic skill. So if deciding whether to give a Sentinel this order or the Regimental order Take Aim, always go with Take Aim. There is then Pinning Fire, which is very similar to the Infantry order Suppression Fire, but cutting the target's movement by 2 inches. So it could be very helpful if they're trying to set up a charge. Now, mechanized melee order is Blitz Them, which could be deceptively helpful in certain circumstances. Given a Leman Russ now has got a glorious 6 attacks, getting it into melee isn't as terrible as it used to be. This order could stack very, very well with the stratagem Crush Them, with a lot of mortal wound opportunity. Full Throttle then boosts movement like Move, but allowing the vehicle to still shoot. This is wildly good and could be stacked with a Regimental Doctrine Swift as the Wind. And you'd have on average an advance of a Leman Russ of 17 inches that can still fire. Again, thinking about Sentinels, depending if you want to lock in the maximum movement, go with Move, given it guarantees a 6-inch advance, but if you want to still shoot, then use Full Throttle. Lastly, Shock and Awe is very similar to At All Costs, making a vehicle OPSEC, which in the right circumstances could make all the difference. It would stack very, very well with the Regimental Doctrine Armoured Superiority, where you'd have a 5 model count OPSEC Chimera, for example, so it'd be very tasty. So again, some fantastic opportunities there, but my favourites being Full Throttle and Shock and Awe. So 18 orders across 3 different types, and there is of course a bit of complexity to navigate. When you're playing games, I suggest using either the data card pack, tokens or dice to denote what each unit has received, and this will make it easier for you and your opponent during the game. Let's now look at other options to play around with things that the characters have, Warlord traits and relics. The yet to be released Lord Solar can issue orders to basically every unit in the book, including super heavies, which could be absolutely wild. Whack Shock and Awe onto an Armoured Superiority 10 model count Baneblade for the ultimate in objective dominating OPSEC models. He also has basically an additional order, able to dish out reroll hits to a unit within 6 inches, making him an orders powerhouse. Love or hate the model, he's going to be a very powerful force multiplier for Astra Militarum. The Sala Creed, who can issue 3 orders per phase, gives a +1 strength to the unit that first receives that order. So that means strength 4 las guns, strength 6 mortars, or strength 9 melter guns. Pow pow. Colonel Ironhand Strachan gives out a melee buff when attacking a vehicle, giving auto wounds on 6s to hit. This is certainly helpful and could give an infantry squad a chance of chipping off the odd wound with a Regimental order fixed bayonets with additional pip of AP. Now, Warlord traits, it's important to note that the named characters have got preset traits if you do decide to give them Warlord traits. Of these traits, the one that relates to orders is Superior Tactical Training and Lead by Example. Tactical Training allows a character to know an additional order type, so giving, for example, Acadian Castellan, Mechanized or Prefectus orders. A nuance of this is that the order range carries across, so the Acadian Castellan example can issue mechanized orders to a vehicle 12 inches away, but a tank commander can issue regimental or commissar orders to a unit 6 inches away. Lead by example allows the character to issue orders to themselves, which could be helpful on a tank commander, making them a highly flexible vehicle, or onto a command squad to drag a regimental banner onto the center of the board via move. Related to this Warlord trait is the Tank Ace Steel Commissar, costing you 25 points on the tank commander and giving him access to additional Commissar order. As I mentioned in the Lehman Russ Tactics video, the way to think about this one is that a Commissar costs 40 points base, so at 25 points on your Steel Commissar tank, you are saving 15 points if Prefectus orders are what you're after. Now, relic-wise, there is the tactical auto recruitability, allowing an additional order to be issued, so perhaps helpful on a platoon commander in a command squad, given the Master Vox could send out 2 orders. Laurels of Command allows a once per game order to be issued in your opponent's turn. They are across the 3 order families, with the OPSEC ones included. This, of course, could be very situationally helpful if you turned on an OPSEC unit. If you turn OPSEC onto a unit that wasn't naturally on an objective against an OPSEC enemy unit, and hence denying your opponent potentially 4 victory points. This, as said, could be huge, but would require a fair bit of careful positioning to pull off. And lastly is the cool one, is the unlimited Voxcaster with its never-ending range. To a billion if dropping in some scions at the back of the board. And never forget that scions can issue and receive orders from any officers, so allowing a lot of flexibility on them. Right, so yet again a bit more depth to consider. Personally, I've been using superior tactical training on Acadian Castellan with mechanized orders, given I usually run a lot of vehicles, and the tactical auto recruitability on a platoon commander in the command squad could be good to get out an additional order at 24 inches. So yep, there's the new Astra Militarum orders, and what do you think of them? And what nasty, sneaky combos have you thought up? Please let me know in the comments, as I'm keen to learn too. Also, if I made any mistakes in this video, please let me know likewise. I'm just an average dude making YouTube videos in my spare time. So if you want to support me, you can do so with a like, comment, or by subscribing, buying some channel merchandise, joining my Patreon platoon, or just sharing this video. To keep your bayonet sharp, las gun oiled. Faith in the Emperor strong. Patreon platoon, sound off.
Tank Commander Glenn, Tank Commander Mitchell, Tank Commander Watchdog Van Etten, Colour Sergeant DuPont, Sergeant Broxius, Adal, the Colonel Merrill, Veterans Gibson, Hall, Blundeen, Guardsman Beard, Coquelin, Flint, Hills, Malik, Nitton, Nguyen, Smith, Tom, Tompkin, Conscript Bosun, England, Gilliam, Goodwin.